Blog Talk Radio.
Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. I sense your presence. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And in the presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I see aspiring to be free. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. And I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Within and without, above and below, yeah. East, west, north, and south, I sense your presence. Without and within, below and above, yeah. East, west, north, and south, I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I find in tune with the divine. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. For to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Shabbat Shabbat Shalom, Holy Angel of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. I sense your presence.
Thank you for joining me here tonight on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. My name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I am your host. The music you were listening to at the beginning of the show is I Sense Your Presence. It's by Shemshai. And I just want to say welcome back to those that are returning, and welcome to those that are joining us here for the very first time. Here at Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, I look at the different ways that compassion exists in our lives, how to remove our blocks, resistances, frustrations, and more. Some weeks I am discussing the different aspects of compassion and how that is in our life and how it affects our life and the different areas of compassion. And then some weeks I'm doing more exercises and practical implementations. And then many times I've got guests on the show so that you can learn about their work and how other things complement and work with compassion. Now, a lot of times, too, I highlight different musical artists along the way. And, for example, recently we had Stephen Halpern on the show. Last week we had Jill Matson on the show. Coming up this summer, we've got Peter Cater. So it's got a great lineup of different people here. And then also I have other nights that are occasionally just call-in coaching nights. So you can also watch for those where I work with people on the air. But we won't be doing that one tonight because we do have a really wonderful guest with us tonight, which is Sara Troy. So I'm looking forward to bringing her on. And I also focus here on helping, and my own work, what I do is I focus on helping people find and use compassion in their everyday lives. Now, I've created the Genesis Clearing Statement, which some of you have experienced on previous shows. And if you've missed that, you can catch that in our shows in the archives. We did some really good work with that on one of Kevin Baird's shows, another one of our hosts here back when I first started with the network. That was last fall. And I've also authored 2 books so far titled Activating Compassion and also the companion workbook, Activating Compassion, the Workbook. And I'm just about ready to release that next set of books. I know several of you have been waiting for that and looking for them to come out. Those will be on relationships. I promise I am getting much closer. And in addition to that, I've created the Compassion Tour, which is a multi-state nationwide tour including workshops, retreats, seminars, book signings, and fundraising events. And I'm already working on putting together some pieces for this year. I recently, just in the last few days, put together about 20 events that are available now that you can sign up for with me. And you can go on to jessieannnicholsgeorge.eventbrite.com, and you're going to see all those events listed there. So lots of great things to take advantage of, everywhere from intuitive workshops through workshops on success, through workshops on relationships, through personal emergence, which incorporates nature in it. So a huge, huge variety of things being offered. So jump in there, take advantage of looking those up and seeing what's available to get into. And also there's an option there for gifting the tour, which those people who maybe are unable to attend any of the events, but you still want to support the work I'm doing, like getting out to the fundraisers, then there's an option there that allows you to gift money in the amount that you choose. And there are some little giveaways that go with those different gifting options as well. So that's just a nice little bonus there. And as a reminder, if you enjoy this show, make certain that you tell your friends, family, significant others, Facebook connections, and anyone else that you feel inspired to share it with. They can always listen to it in the archives, so that's a great option. They're going to come right back into the same link that you used to get into the show, and they can listen to it at their convenience. They can also go on to 2 different areas. My website, I've got a section there for Main Street Universe, and I've got my own page there, as do all the hosts, where you can get to know our work and catch the archives links from there. Or you can also go to facebook.com/activatingcompassion/notes, and I have all the archived shows there as well. So lots of options for you. Now, before we get started, as those of you that have listened before know, I like to open up and see what name of God is lending energy to our show tonight. And what I do is I delve into a book that's called The 72 Names of God, Technology for the Soul. And I just randomly open up to a page there. And it always has an appropriate message. It always has something that seems to apply to what we're doing, what's going on in our lives. And what I do, too, is I post this usually within 24 hours of the show on my page on the website that I have at Jessie and Nichols George 1, that's the number 1.com. And I put all the information in whatever the message is and the meditation is from them. So let's see what Yehuda Berg has for us tonight. And as I open up here, and I've come to the name tonight is healing. So this seems very appropriate, I think, because I think this is going to fit in well with our guest. And the message that goes with this is the concept of sickness extends beyond illnesses that afflict the body. It includes the poor health of a business, an ailment in a relationship, and emotional illnesses such as anxiety and depression. With the right tool, we can heal all manner of disease. Now, his insight on this is Moses became the liberator of the very slaves he had helped rule. Because of this tremendous transformation, the letters that compose his name hold great spiritual power. This particular configuration transmits the forces of healing. There are two ways to fully activate this power of healing. 1, think about others. Meditate on people who also need healing. As the energy of healing passes through us to assist others, we automatically receive the benefits ourselves. The more we share, the more we receive. 2, be accountable. Without question, this is a difficult step to take. We must lose the victim mindset. We must realize it was something we did in this life or past life that brought about illness. Immediate causes such as the foods we eat or even our genetic makeup are simply the weapons that inflict illness upon us. They are not the causes. They are the effects. One person smokes 4 packs of cigarettes a day and lives to a ripe old age. Another never smokes but still contracts lung cancer. Get the picture? Blaming someone or something absolves us from all personal responsibility. But if we accept responsibility 100%, then and only then will the tools of the 72 names of God arouse the light of the Creator so we can be healed. Now, he also gives a meditation with this, and I think this is important because in order to heal, in order to move forward in life, it is important that we embrace and we accept what's happening. But then once we do that, we want to let it flow through us, out of us, and take that responsibility to change our actions. Okay, we can't keep repeating those same old actions, keep being mean to people, and expect everything to go fantastic in our life. Okay, eventually we have to shift, and that's where that big work of compassion that I do comes in, is learning to be compassionate helps us break into healing and out of these issues. Now, the meditation that Yehuda provides with this is the power of this name brings you the energy of healing at the deepest and most profound level of your being. Why? Because you accept full responsibility for your present state and condition, and you concentrate on others who are also needing healing. And the way that this name is pronounced is Mem He Shen. Mem He Shen. And again, if you'd like to read this for yourself, it will be posted within the next 24 hours on my website, on my page in the Main Street Universe section. So that will give you a chance to go and refresh it during the week if you want. And this is just kind of our message for the week. So I think that's really applicable for a lot of things happening. Now, as I move on here to my guest, and I'm coming back here I just want to do a little bit of information here to lead up to bringing her on. And, with this, I'm always amazed that when I'm working with people, how few of them really know who they are, their preferences, their desires, passions, how things are working in their life. And yet time and time again, I'm bringing people back to this really fundamental aspect of know thyself. I've learned that the better we get to know ourselves, the easier it is for us to do just about anything in our lives. It makes decision-making far easier. We put ourselves in a position to be proactive in our lives and helps us to stay out of the nebulousness. Even if you are trying to remain open to possibilities, it is still quite valuable to know who you are, how you function, your strengths and challenges. You can be open to things and still be very decisive and proactive. Sara Troy has created a program of True Colors, which helps us to understand ourselves better. And this program not only helps us to understand what ways are natural for us, but to work and to relate with people and the types of people that we need to be surrounding ourselves with in order to create greater balance and support in our lives. Now imagine if by knowing yourself, you could also know ahead of time who would be favorable to have in your life and who would not. Imagine knowing how to relate to others better because you have a stronger grasp of who you are. I've found that the better I understand myself, the better I understand what I need to improve on, and the easier I can relate to others and knowing how things work for me and the best approach to take with things. Now, this has also helped me to know what will work or not work in my life. And knowing myself has brought me greater focus, awareness of all things, and greater success in all that I do. Now, how well do you know yourself? How has your life changed from building greater awareness of yourself? How do you do things differently as a result of getting to know yourself better? Our guest tonight focuses on a component of compassion that is related to the aspect in my books of finding your truth. It is where we embrace who we are, our passions, understand what we want to share with the world, and the way it works for us to bring it out with others. I'm going to take a short break, and when we return, I will have Sara Troy with us. She's going to be sharing her work on True Colors and how to be and live in your D.I.V.A self, and we're going to find out more about what that's all about from Sara herself. The song I have for you during my break tonight is Listen to Me. It's by Claire Heaton. Some of you may remember Claire. She was on our show at the end of last year. And if you'd like to find out more about her music or connect with her, you can certainly do so on her website at clairehedin.com, and that is CLAREHEDIN.com. We'll be back in a few minutes with Sara.
So you walk down the aisle, books on each side, and you know that you are waiting for just one to catch your eye, and then you'll look through its pages. What will you find? All the answers to the questions that keep spinning through your mind. Well, never you mind, you'll seek what you find, 'cause the universe is listening to your mind. Listen to me. Answers everywhere, and you sit at a table in a room with a view, and as you look out the window, your life looks back at you. You stop for a moment. What are you to do? Did anyone ever really tell you that your life would look at you? Well, never you mind, you'll seek what you find, 'cause the universe is listening to your mind. Listen to me. And you might turn on the TV and your room is filled with stars. You will see exotic lifestyles, envy brand new cars, and then you start dreaming you want it to be yours. One minute you were happy, but now you're not so sure. Well, never you mind, you'll find what you seek, 'cause the universe is listening as we speak. Listen to me. Answers everywhere. Perhaps it's in a church where you seek your solitude, and if not, the voice of God can reach you through the Christian tune. The church is in your living room as well as on your street. You see, the gods are pretty versatile, with the voice of man they speak. If you choose me, you'll be complete. I am the universe, so listen as I speak. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. Listen to me, listen to me, listen to me. I will set you free. Set you free. You see answers everywhere, answers that you seek there in those passing conversations in books and films that we might see. We're not short of answers, it's the questions that we need. You see, the questions are the gateways, the things that set us free. Ask the right questions and you'll see that the universe is listening as we speak. Listen to me. Answers everywhere.
And welcome back. You are listening to Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour, and my name is Jessie Ann Nichols George. I am your hostess this evening. You were just listening to a song called Listen to Me, which is by Claire Hedin. Again, if you'd like to look up her music or listen to more of what she has, you can do so at www.clairehedin.com. That's CLAREHEDIN.com. And I would like to bring on my guest here tonight, Sara Troy. And Sara is working with others as a soul awakener. She's been doing that for 40 years. She's been a True Colors teacher for 12 years and a View of Life teacher for 38 years. Sara also is a radio show host interviewing inspirational teachers from around the world. She believes if we tune in to our soul's truth, which excites the heart into passion and lifts our spirits into action, and we find then our knowingness. And Sara helps others to find and become their true diva. I'm having trouble speaking tonight. True diva. And that is a dreamer who inspires your vision into actualization. We look at her work with True Colors tonight and how it helps us to understand our personalities and learn where and how to balance our nature so that we can be our true diva. And you can learn more about Sara's work at www.choosepositiveliving.com. And you'll see that at the bottom of the show description as well. So again, that's www.choosepositiveliving.com. And I'm going to go ahead and open up Sara's mic here and bring her on tonight. Hi, Sara. How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. And how are you tonight, dear?
I'm doing well. It's a pleasure to have you here on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour.
I'm looking forward to this all week.
And Sara and I, we've had some great conversations along the way in setting up, coming in and working with each other and doing show things. And you'll also have to catch her show because she's going to be interviewing me, and that interview is going to be available to listen to in the near future as well. So I hope you'll certainly catch that, and you can stay up with me on Facebook and social media, and I'll keep you posted on when you can catch that show as well on her network. Sara, I just want to say it's wonderful to have you here tonight, and I appreciate you giving us your time. And I'd just kind of like to open up with having you share some about your journey and what brought you into doing the True Colors work and discovering the D.I.V.A. aspect and those things, and share it with our listeners.
Okay, I'll be delighted to. But first to tell you, your show is on June 18th. And you can catch it with www.plv-radio.com and go to, so catch your name. And your show will be actually airing 5 times in one day at different times, so people will be able to catch it at their own convenience. So we'll get that off at the top of it. My journey and where I started. Can you still hear me? Do I still have you?
I can still hear you.
Okay, sorry, I thought I lost you there. Dear old Internet, it's absolutely a wonderful tool, but sometimes it can be temperamental, as we know. My journey really started at birth. I was literally born this way. I have been a spiritual being all my life. I kind of found it a little difficult when I first started because I just didn't understand why everybody else was different. I saw people, dead people, and I saw spirits, and I saw fairies. And so, of course, it was even before the hippie days. So basically just people thought I was loopy, that strange child. But it's something that speaks to me, like speaks to my soul and speaks to my heart. And in there I am in such truth, divine truth, that I never waver in my knowingness when I'm in that space. And it's the true core of really who I am. I do have another persona that survives in this world today. And, sometimes it has to protect that soul and spirit because not everybody is so embracing of it. But I think we're reaching different times now, and people are becoming more embracing of their own souls and spirits and are awakening and understanding the beauty of that truth. So I've been a spiritual person all my life. It was something that I've always been, and I had a knack of being able to understand where people were in their life. When they were in pain, when they were in conflict, I had a certain knowingness about me where I just seemed to know the answers that they needed to know at that moment in time. And this would be me as a child. I would have going to music lessons, and they end up counseling the music teacher. My art teacher, anybody else that seemed to have a problem, I seemed to hit the nail on the head and was able to help them unravel it. So I was a popular student to certain teachers and not necessarily to others who maybe didn't embrace what I was doing. But that spiritual counseling that I've done has been something that I've done all my life and is a total intricate part of me. I'm a reader, I'm an open empath, and it's just allowed me to be able to help people through the years. But in 2001, I discovered the True Colors, and it became an eye-opener. And it became a wonderful tool not only in understanding my own personality, but also in understanding why my family couldn't accept me for who I was. And they were an opposite spectrum of personality traits to me. And in their understanding of life, expectations, perceptions, I was just too far out there. I was not something that they could relate to. And it gave me a great deal of forgiveness towards my family for them misunderstanding me or just not comprehending who I was, because in many ways it was not their ability to do so. So in other words, I let go of the personal side of it, of taking it personally and feeling that they were out to get me, as I think we all do when family members don't love us for who we are, and realized that they didn't comprehend me. And it's very hard to, not saying my family don't love me, but they just don't get me. And so everything I've made a choice in life has been something for them that they've not been able to grasp. When you know that it's not their fault because they just can't see life in that way, you become more forgiving towards them. And you find a dialogue that you speak to them in a compatible language, something that you can speak to on the same subject without having to go outside of those boundaries where they feel uncomfortable. So you find an avenue in which to communicate that is successful between and know which areas to avoid.
That's a really good point, is that as we evolve as spiritual beings, it really is an aspect there of accepting where other people are at on their journey. And I'm so glad that you brought that up as part of your story, because I didn't really realize I was different. I was also born with gifts and have very open empath channel and all of these things too, much like yourself. And it wasn't until I was probably junior high level, I think it was, or high school even, that I realized I was different, or everybody else was different. It was that same sort of concept. I think what you bring in is such an important part, that you reach that space of compassion, and what you're talking about that you dealt with your family is something that I talk about a lot in my books on compassion, is looking beyond and realizing that it's okay for them to be where they are. It's okay for them to be different than me, and they may or may not be ready for that. And if they're not ready for it, I just need to learn other ways to communicate with those people, whether it's family or friends or whoever that is.
Yes,
so I think I'm really glad you brought that point up there on that. Because I think that's... Go ahead.
Hi. No, I said we have these 4 very key personality traits. We're born with them, just as we are with the D.I.V.A, which I'll address in a moment. We'll stick with the true colors for the moment. We're born with these 4 key personalities. You can have quads. They're brought the same way, in the same environment. Very often they wear the same clothes and the same foods and everything else, but they have very distinctive personalities. You can see it in babies. You can see it in puppies and kittens. They have very distinctive, their own personality traits. As we get older, we actually understand through this particular test what our personality trait is. And that is how, not only how we interact with people in life, but it's also how we perceive life. And with these 4 key personalities, we're going to receive our information based on what our 2 highest personality traits are. That's how we're going to receive it, it's how we're going to interact with it, and it's how we're going to dictate the way we listen to other people. We never use all 4 colors at the same time, all 4 personalities. That's where the D.I.V.A comes into later. With these personality traits, we have to understand is that it's our information, but it doesn't always make it the right information. For us, it does, because it makes sense to us. But to somebody else, it doesn't, because it's not coming from their perception, from their personality trait. They're going to see things differently, and obviously, in their light, they're right. So there's no wrongs here. Everybody is right from their own perception. There just may not be that compatibility of communicating with each other to see it from a different angle or understand it from a different perspective. I think compassion comes into when we learn to embrace the differences and try and discover what other people's perceptions are and be more open to it. It doesn't mean that you have to wholeheartedly embrace them or suddenly take on those perceptions as your own. But in understanding where other people are coming from, we have a better understanding how to interact with life. We learn to speak to one another and not at one another. Our communication opens up to being more broad. So therefore, we're covering more angles of topics instead of pinpointing one and not getting anywhere. So understanding these personality traits not only helps us understand who we are and why we do what we do in life, but it helps us understand how to communicate with other people and what their needs are and how we can address them.
And that's a great approach for people to keep in mind, that it's not about one person being right or another person being wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding your perceptions, your way of seeing the world, what works for you, but also realizing that the way somebody else is handling things is just the way they need to do it for them.
Yes.
And eventually, and I know you're going to get into this tonight, so I'm kind of letting you
Mm-hmm.
just flow with things as you want to bring them out. But eventually we learn that some of those other personalities we're going to be compatible with. Some of them can help us. Some of them might feel like they're hindering us. And
yes.
And you have certain ways that those all come together too.
Yes, I do. If you like, I'd actually can give the 4 key personalities a little analogy to it. Would you like me to do that?
I would love for you to do that.
Okay. Well, I'm going to hit Star Trek. I mean, the movie is out right now, so if you weren't born up in the Star Trek generation in the 60s, you've certainly seen or know of the 2 current movies that have modernized Captain Kirk and Spock, and Doc and Scotty. So we have 4 key characters. One's a captain, one's the right-hand man, one's a doctor, and the other one's the engineer. Let's look at those 4 personalities and think who they might be. When you're looking at Spock, he's the Vulcan, and everything about him is rational. Rational thinking, logical, unemotional, and very much to the point. No fuss, no... just really absolutely quite clinical, clerical in the way that he speaks. So he would actually be what we call a green personality, somebody who analyzes the situation, deduces an answer, and logically approaches it from that point of view. So we would call Spock a green personality. When you look at the Doc, he's there to heal people. You're killing them, Captain. Quit it. And he'll be there trying to save everybody when half the time they're unsavable. And person who cares, has that empathy, that person who is always going to very often be sacrificial of self in order to help someone else, because everything towards them is to help, serve, and care for mankind. They will be represented by a blue personality. Then you've got Scotty. Beam him up, Captain. He is thrown in the engineering room, and he's got to make the impossible happen in the last 2 minutes of the show to save the spaceship from blowing up. And every single time he manages to find something and a way of doing something to save everybody's butt, because he's reliable, he's very, very loyal, and he'll always look to something he can do to make it happen. And he'll follow the orders as well. So that is what we call a yellow personality. Now we're actually going to go to the captain. Now just think of Captain Kirk. He's a schmoozer. He always gets the girl. He always pushes everybody to the envelope, to the absolute limit. He never follows rules and regulations. He's a total daredevil. He thinks on his feet. He's instinctual. He's instant, full of action, but gregarious, and everybody loves him. And he would be represented by the orange personality. That's to give you a little synopsis of what those personalities can be. It's obviously not as clear-cut as that, but a little flavor of what personalities are. When we do the True Colors test, we discover which color is ours at its highest strength. But we always have another one that's very close underneath, and we generally fluctuate between those particular personalities and use whichever personality is needed for whatever scenario in our lives. And that's where it comes into complementing and being versatile. We're never one key personality and forget the rest. But that gives you a little breakdown of what those personality traits are. So are you a Trekkie fan, Jessie?
I used to avidly watch Star Trek when I was younger. I don't follow it so much anymore, but when I was younger, and my sister was very into Star Trek, and so it was on quite frequently at our house with things. And
so can
and
you see how it relates?
I can completely see how it relates, and I think using those characters are really a great analogy for your different colors in there. And of course, I had Sara, for our listeners. I had Sara did my colors for me, and it was really wonderful. And we still have a little bit of things that I'm thinking I need to go back and have it done with my name change.
Yes, exactly. And but also you'll go through the D.I.V.A program and you'll understand that's a little different to the True Colors. In fact, actually, we've taken True Colors and we've added some components to it that are really kind of, well, I suppose almost puts True Colors on speed now.
Oh, wow, that's like psychedelics, isn't it? True Colors on speed?
Yeah, yes, far out, man.
It fits right in there with the Trekkie generation.
Absolutely. Yeah, somebody sent me a picture actually of me in a bikini 40 years ago, and back in the 70s, and it's like, oh my God, talk about another lifetime.
It was a whole different fashion statement.
Excellent. It was pretty cool.
Everything gets go ahead.
Oh, I said everything just gets repeated.
It does. It comes back around, just a little different shade of green and orange and blue and gold. So tell us then a little more about the D.I.V.A program, since you brought that up, and maybe a little bit how that varies from the True Colors.
Well, again, we're all born divas. And I know that some people look at that word and go, oh, you're talking about somebody who's a prima donna. And actually, we're not. We're all born divas because we're all born dreamers who look for inspiration, that create vision, and that aspires us to achieve in life. So a dreamer who inspires vision into actualization or aspiration. And if you look at a child, you look at a puppy, and you look at how they're always in discovery, they're always dreaming, and they're inspired by so much around them. They're always telling you big stories of what they envision, and they're always aspiring to be something. And then they reach school, and middle school, and high school, and rules and regulations, and quintessentially it kind of gets beaten out of them. And we lose that diva, that ability to dream. And then you see somebody in their 40s and 50s who've done everything right all their lives and suddenly go, I am empty. I have no dream. I'm not inspired by anything. I have no vision for my future, and I've got no aspirations to do anything. And they're looking to find their diva again. So we have a program now that helps you discover your diva. And we help you discover your diva by a program that we discover what your diva is, where it is now. We take you through your personality analysis, which, as I said, has been readjusted. It actually is very, very corely the True Colors now because it's been expanded on so much. We discover your personality trait. We understand the elements of your life and where you're meant to be now. We show you what your two top personality traits are, along with your diva, and how to use them on a daily basis. And we show you what your fractal is. And your fractal is the conclusion of everything that you are, helps you understand who you need to align with in life, following your dream, following your philosophy, who you need to align with that is going to complement you building that dream, following that philosophy so you can actualize. And this fractalization is a system that very much follows the DNA of your body, and it allows people to join you, that whatever is your weakest is their strength. And you never ever have a weak side to you. You always have people around you that are building on you, so that there is always strength there, never weakness, and everybody is following that dream in order to build it into something. And it can keep building on itself, almost like a hexagram, and building in strength, that you never have to worry about any more than your 12 people. In fact, actually, first 8 people is all you really need to worry about in your core. The other people will automatically come, but you never have more than 12 people in your core fractal, and those 12 people will be all you ever need to build your dream into something that will actualize.
So how would somebody know, or based on this program, obviously they're going to go through the program. Maybe we can kind of use some of my stuff. For example, I know when I went through your true colors, I came out with green on top, a score of 44 with the green, blue with score of 41, gold score of 37, orange score of 34. So reasonably close.
You would be, and most certainly your highest would be the green blue. So it means that your center color becomes the green. That's what governs you. And your blue is your heart, is your passion. I'm actually a blue-green. So everything I do, I have to feel passionate and heartfelt about it. And then I run it through my how can I make it happen. You look at a systemization of logic, information first, and then run it through your passion. So you just reverse the way you do your process. So I know that you're a very detailed, oriented person. You can really get down there and write a very detailed book that is filled with a lot of intricate things that are going to help people on the how-tos. When I write things, as some people might call it, is flowery, because everything is going to come from that sense of feeling and emotion and empathy and connection in that spiritual way, not terribly structured or not very formatted at all. So by you having your green and running it through your blue, you're going to be able to take that knowledge that you intricately know and then run it through that passion and that feeling, which will translate in the way that you write it or in the way that you speak it. So you're always going to use those 2 colors. It's just the way you use them. The other 2 colors you don't need to worry about so much. You're aware of what they are, where they are, or maybe if they're too far apart, then you need to bring them up a little bit. And that's for you as a single unit, being aware of your colors and how to use them for you, especially in knowing who you are. But when it comes to aligning your fractal, it doesn't matter about your other colors, because you are now going to attach yourself to people that are different from you. In other words, your center core is the green. The people around you will be the blue, the orange, and we actually don't call it gold anymore, we called it yellow.
Yellow.
Those 3 people will be around you. Your actual greens will be at least 2 people removed on the outside. Because if you get a bunch of green people analyzing things together, you're never going to get anything done. You'll be so stuck in what is the possibilities, what if we do it this way, what if we turn it that way. And you get so stuck in the analysis of it, you'll never get anything done. You've got the enough detail of information and the analysis, the information that is needed for something to grow. And you can hand it off to the yellow and to the orange and to the blue, each one of them to buy into that dream, to buy into that passion of it, and each one of them bringing to the table their expertise. Now you have all 4 personalities working on the one thing, balancing it out. At the end of the other side of that, that's when the greens start coming back in. And then they can start kind of taking that structure so it can go even further. But you don't want to have the same color next to you, because you'll never, ever go anywhere with it. You have to have those complementary colors around you in order for all aspects to be reached, in order to be able to grow and develop something.
And it's interesting, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking of the different people in my life, and I'm going, okay, this person fits in here, this person fits in there. So I do kind of have this variety around me of the other personalities. And where you said, 2 stages out or a stage out, it's kind of like if you're a green like myself, and I'm going to surround myself with blue, yellow, and orange. Well, then those blue, yellow, and oranges can have green in their sphere.
Yes,
which helps
they can have a green removed or two removed from them. Enough to understand what you're saying and what you're needing, but to bring that perspective to you so that you can actually fill all the necessary equations. Going back to Star Trek, you needed the medical, you need the engineer, you need the captain, obviously, and you need the logistics person. You need all of that to fly that spaceship. We need all of these people in our lives to make things happen. So if you have too much of one thing, you never go anywhere. When you have everybody bringing their own expertise to the equation, now you've got something you can build on.
It's kind of like when you go to that potluck and everybody brings beverages and chips and nobody brings anything else to eat.
Exactly. How
But
boring.
when you go to the really good potluck, everybody's brought something different and you've got a whole meal. And I think that's
sort of delight. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what color you are. If you get surrounded by your own color, you get too weighted. And I think from some of my background and what I see, if you get too weighted in any area, not only, are you out of balance, but that tends to create some of the negative traits to come up in us. It tends to create anxieties and tensions and stress and things like that.
And competitiveness. The thing is to be competitive to reach a positive, cohesive goal. But when you get too many people of the same in one group, they become, like you've got the same group and everybody's patting each other on the back because everybody, oh, yes, I agree. Yes, we think like that. I think like that too. But at some point, it goes from patting each other on the back, wanting to stab each other on the back because people become competitive. No, my idea is better. No, my idea is better. No, my idea is the best. So they've gone from embracing to hating. And that can happen if you have too much of the same flavor in one area and not the diversity.
And, I think we see that a lot in corporate structure, actually, and businesses. I think there's a lot of that because people think of, well, let me surround myself with people who think like me, and then it gets into, like you say, this whole competitive edge. And matter of fact, I watched that with a couple of companies that I worked for, and it's really, really damaged them. And left with too many people of the same mindset, it just really destroyed them as a company.
Well, look at Donald Trump. For all you Donald Trump lovers out there, this is not knocking him. This is stating a fact. The man himself isn't a rocket scientist, but he's very, very clever because he knows exactly who to put around him. He's most certainly a screaming orange personality. And he has his right-hand man, the lawyer George, and George most certainly will be that green person. And Donald doesn't do anything until George has gone through all the facts. And then he has his other people around him, like the secretary there should be the gatekeeper. Personality, warmth, and everything there, but there to protect Donald. Nobody gets to see him without going through her. And he'll have somebody can be either one of his kids on the other side of that, who's more the solid, foundative, structural person that kind of keeps him grounded. And that could even be his wife. But he's got those other colors around him. And everybody thinks that Donald's done it all on his own. No, he's just very, very good at putting the right people around him. And people don't mind him being the peacock.
And that's okay because somebody needs to be the peacock, and you have some people that are very happy being more behind the scenes.
Yes.
He looks, like you say, he looks for those certain things, and I think about his children, and they definitely don't have that same personality as him. Both his son and his daughter are totally different personalities there, and I think that this is such a great thing. I think, too, when people are getting into doing things on their own, this is where sometimes people hit some of the challenges in things because they're, in a lot of ways, they're isolating themselves, and then they're not getting that support that they need, and they're trying to do it all on themselves, or they get out there and they start bringing people in, but they're bringing the wrong kind of people in. They're not balancing themselves.
Exactly.
And this
exactly.
is a universal.
It is. It's a universal problem, and you really need people that each an artist to their own to bring to the table. You know that I've in development of a Unity Foundation, which is an NPO, right, non-profit organization. I've talked to you about. Well, one of the principles behind this is, part of it being me as a screaming blue, constantly wanting to give back and have everybody live in dignity and liberation of their spirit and soul and sustainability. That's my core passion. The thing about the NPO, I've always wanted to do it, and I always had a kind of a concept of the way I wanted to do it. But it has truly been my radio shows and interviewing people like yourself, such wonderful inspirers across the board in this last year, that I realized that we have some amazing, talented people that are solopreneurs, and they need to have conglomerate partners that are there to help each other. So, it was driven for me to do the MPO in this way, and the MPO has 3 structures to it. One of them is the pursuit of wholeness. The other is music, arts, and entertainment, and communication, and the other one is sciences and technology. Where the D.I.V.A discovery comes into is that everybody that's going to be in the foundation as a solutioner, these are people who have the solutions that will help other people, they'll become a D.I.V.A member as a solutioner. And when a client comes through, they will go through the D.I.V.A discovery to discover their own D.I.V.A, their own personality trait, even their care of where they are now, what are their challenges in life, and understand what their fractal is. This assessment now will go to somebody who needs to help them. Maybe it's a health practitioner. Everybody is natural in my group, so people who are natural practitioners, maybe they're nutritionists, holistic, Reiki, you name it. I want to be able to send them to one group, and in that group they find out, A, the fractal, who's the best person to serve this person as a personality perspective, that they're not going to clash, they're going to be complementary, and B, somebody who's got the best medical service for this person's needs, and they help and support one another in helping to get that person whole. We've got so much wonderful talent as solopreneurs. They're busy so much trying to get business that they're unable to work in their business. So if we put them together as a whole, as a unit, where they're unifiedly helping one another, supporting one another, and we send them the clients, which of course the MPO pays for in certain aspects, and when anybody can't afford it, we pay for it. Well, now this person has all of these wonderful health practitioners that are going to help them, and all of these health practitioners have the support of one another, and they're not out there struggling to make ends meet themselves and being alone. They're forming a unity in a group. They've still got their own businesses, but they're under a unity where they support one another. And this is the way, for me, as I see it, being logical.
And it does make a lot of sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense of creating these facets and coming in with this awareness, for things. It's this whole, it creates more of a whole treatment, I guess you would say, for people, where they...
Yes.
Yeah, it really comes together as a whole unit, and this is really part of the emerging times and the emerging thought patterns that we're going through, because it really is about this wholeness, and it's not about being isolated and separated. And there's points to that in a whole different realm, but ultimately we're unifying, and I think what your method does is it's kind of like we're all this puzzle piece, and we're looking for the people who fit around us, that connect with our puzzle piece. And it's not necessarily one specific person as much as it is an energy or personality that can fit that.
Yes.
And when we do that, we keep building that big picture. So we're unifying and building that bigger picture in there, which I think is really an amazing, that fractal aspect.
I mean, if you've got somebody, first put them through the health aspect, but after that, they may need a coach to help them with their beliefs. And most certainly with what you do, with the numerology and the whole integration of what you do, if somebody tells them that this is not a time to go hell-bent into achieving something, that this is a seeding time, or this is a time to learn or reflect, the expectations on that person to achieve a certain goal gets released, and they understand this is a time for investment in self, or this isn't a time for investment in something else. And it helps them lay their path in front of them without feeling that, well, why, what I'm doing now, I couldn't have done this a year ago. A year ago, everything in my chart, as you know, was not with me to do that. I had to wait for this year, all of my chart, to come together. And what I did last year by doing the radio shows and interviewing such wonderful people, I built a beautiful Rolodex of such gifted talent that has become the seeding and the very rooting of what this Unity Fund action is. So I was working at it before I realized I was working at it. And, this is where a lot of the gift of what you have there is helping people find that path of when it's the right time to move. So when we talk about the pursuit of wholeness, it isn't about just making somebody well. It's making them well in mind, body, and spirit, and embracing their D.I.V.A because they now know what their dream is, and so they can take to fulfilling D.I.V.A.
And that's such an important thing for our listeners, just to kind of fill them in a little bit, is Sara had done True Colors for me, and I had looked at some things as far as her influences on a numerological, astrological level, looking at things from a feng shui aspect, her Chinese astrology influences. So I brought in a huge realm of different things, which was a point I actually started to bring up earlier, or was going to mention earlier, is that your program works much like the positive cycle in feng shui, which is you have elements that feed you, elements that help you, elements that hinder you, things like that. And that's the same way that your color fractal aspects work in here. And anyways, when we had done this exchange, we were talking about name changes and how that influences different things. And since I did the work for Sara, she went out and changed her name on things and brought in this whole new vibration, which is balancing her and bringing in all these great things. And you talk about the timing, and I'm so happy.
It worked beautifully. From the moment that I changed my name, you got me thinking. I always wanted to do it. I went to change my name on what would have been my 30th wedding anniversary, and I let go of a name that no longer belonged to me, and I embraced the name Troy, and my life has changed around completely. And the numbers are great.
I can totally vouch for that. In a month and a half, I've watched like this gigantic shift go, and the timing was right. The timing of the year was right to do it. And that's the funny thing when you talk about that and bringing that in as part of this healing process. It's like so many people make New Year's resolutions and start something brand new in January, which is a good reason why things don't work. That's a good reason why they don't start it, because they're starting it in January in a time that's introspection and not action. And it's kind of like a color trying to do something it doesn't do. It would be kind of like me trying to be an orange.
Exactly. You can't go against your grain. I mean, you can, bring out frills and other grains around you, but you can't go against the grain of intricately who you are. So
I love
this numerology. you opened up things to me with the numerology that just blew my mind. I mean, I didn't know that changing your name changed numerology number. And, you know, we always joke about a man saying she's not the woman I married. And no, because if she married on something that wasn't her birth date, she's a different number. And I went from a Libra 8 to an Aries 5 when I got married. And now I'm an Aries 9.
Which is so contradictory, you know. It just, yeah, it was such a huge shift, and I'm just impressed with what you're doing and taking this program now to this whole new level, to this whole new dimension that you are. Like you say, I mean, it's just kind of like somebody connecting the power. It's like you got plugged in. And
absolutely,
and
it's almost a piece of puzzle, you know, like I've had the picture scattered for so many years, and it's all of a sudden the pieces on the puzzle got magnified, and have just zap together into a clear picture. And it's just been, you know, in fact, things are going faster than we're actually able to keep up with.
Right. And that happens a lot of times once you step in that flow where people, they sit back, and a lot of people now, they've been like, oh, this has been dragging, this isn't coming through, and all of this stuff. But once you step into that flow, man, you better have something to hold on to, because you're going to be like hanging onto the rope at the back of a speedboat.
That's exactly where I am. And anybody has followed my shows, if you go back and listen to any archives, in many ways in the last few years I've been kind of living a living death, especially in the last year and a half. It has been like a huge big weight tied around me that I've been dragging just one step in front of the other, fighting to find a reason to exist, and then literally going from this into every dream, every passion, everything I believe in has just been given the green light, and I've been handed a sports car, and I got into it in fourth gear, and I'm off and going. So it doesn't matter where you are in your darkness now, as long as you keep that pilot light on and that belief in your knowingness, that core belief inside of you, and you never let go of that dream. You just keep plowing forward, and then one day that light will change, and then it's just all, you know, out of hell.
And I have to say too, since I talked to you, you brought in certain clarity for me, or just, you know, added one more dimension to what I know. And you brought up a thing too, where like people who are in these solo positions, who maybe don't have a lot of outside contact, or working, as you say, solopreneurs.
Yes.
One of the things that you brought up to me was about getting comfortable with my opposite. You know, get out there and be a little more spontaneous, have a little more fun, which I enjoy doing, by the way. I always enjoyed doing that. But sometimes, yes, you get too much in your own element, and you don't get enough of that. And so I put a conscious focus, plus, say the people, for example, that are in orange, which is the furthest removed from me on your scale, used to irritate me a lot. It was like they just had too much, you know, I just wasn't that bouncy all over the place kind of person, never have been. And so it was always very frustrating for me to deal with somebody like that. And since I spoke to you, I said, okay, I'm going to make this conscious effort to embrace my orange energy that's there, and to get comfortable with that energy, and to find a way to enjoy it. And since I started doing that, and I started saying, okay, this doesn't irritate me anymore, I know that it's all about awakening me. And of course I already knew that on one level, but I mean, I really took some conscious action steps since I spoke with you. And the interesting thing is, since I did that, let's see here, I had Green TV came to me, and they said, we want you to be our featured blogger. So I'm their one and only blogger, and they're a green affiliate for CNN. How does that get, you know, any better? You know, It's like, you're changing our lives, so we want you to, handle this for us.
Very nice.
So, by the way, this show and our other show is on their site. It's very exciting things to watch happen. And then I also had contact from people that I'm working with on the Messengers event, and they said, we just want you to know everything's in motion, and, we expect to be activating your part of things here around the end of June. So all these things that I had been waiting on, all of a sudden started to get activated because of that consciousness. I also had somebody come into me and said, we want you to apply to be a speaker at this conference, which, by the way, I just got news tonight that I have been accepted to speak at the Matriarchs Conference coming up the first weekend in October. And I'm very, very excited about this. I mean, as you say, those doors just open. Everything kind of goes into high gear all of a sudden. But when the light bulb,
and things are right. But also what you did is that you stepped out of your green, which, as I was telling you, is that it's so easy to get caught in that, investigation. I need the knowledge, or I need to get the knowledge down. And you get so caught up in that you forget sometimes where you're receiving your knowledge from. And it's those other colors, especially that blue, which opens up your divine channel to receive it. I think you stepped into your blue, and as a blue that is, boundless, and completely unanalytical, trusts their instincts and their feelings, allowed your orange to step forth. And if you look at it, you might be living in your orange from the blue's perspective, where the blue is very, very carefree, allowing you to be carefree in your orange and articulate with those two combinations. The thing is about knowingness, if I may address that for a moment, the knowingness from my perspective. Knowingness from the heart and soul. When we talk about gut instincts, how do you know? Oh, I just know, my gut tells me. The gut is around your navel. That's where your soul divine intellect is. It's where the soul knowledge comes to. And you get that feeling in your stomach, and it feels right. It then resonates with your heart, and your heart likes this information, and your heart begins to get passionate about it. It gives it to your spirit, which is around your throat, and you start articulating this wonderful divine knowledge that sets your heart on fire, and you speak to its possibilities. You now go to your knowingness, which is around your third eye. The knowingness extracts what it needs to know from the brain because of its memory, because of the data that's filed away. And you simply know what you need to know at the time you need to know it. You have no doubt. You have no argument. You need no validation. What you know is the divine truth. And that is simply it. And that's the knowingness. When you step from that blue into that orange and you get out there to speak, your green has the knowledge. You don't need to speak from the green's perspective. You speak from the blue's passion and from the conviction and the inspiration of the orange, and it will bring out the articulation of your green into such an inspiring flow that you'll have people embracing your knowledge. You get me?
And I think that is, that's really a good example of showing how that works, because that was one of the things I was hoping you would kind of go through or we would get to tonight, is showing that in a relationship of how you don't want to come from that core space that you're in. You want to step into those other spaces. And I've been doing a lot of work in the last week or so to bring in that fiery red, orange energy into my life, and it's gigantic and it's huge, and I think too that this overlaps, because if we're too much weighing in our one element and we're not getting these balances, we're going to have health issues come up. We're going to have emotional issues come up, depending on what our color is, I would say. If we're very heavily in the green, for example, we're going to have a lot of headaches or a lot of other things happening. If we're too much in the blue, we're going to have a lot of heartaches and things like that going on, and so on.
And you have with you have to be very careful with your yellows, because they can get very emotionally. Blues are very, very emotional, but yellows can get very dramatically emotionally attached to the drama, and they can manifest by becoming. Hate to say the word dramatic about it, but I'm going to use that. So, you've got a cold, and all of a sudden it's pneumonia, it's pneumonia, and it's inclined to dramatize it. So if there's an emotion of something going wrong, the emotion is taken on too seriously, and embraced too much in a vibration that doesn't serve one. And you will find probably yellows hold on to illness more than other colors would, because the other colors wish to shake it off. They don't want it to find that yellows have a tendency to hold on to it because of a fear, drama, or expanding on what it really is, the mountain out of the molehill. Whereas the green can also get a little too analytical over what's wrong with them, and something that happened to be a little mole, which is just a mole, it's suddenly this mountain and cancer, because they go too much into the analysis of it. And blues are simply just emotional. They've got to feel good. Keep them in harmony, they're well. Shake them in balance, they're going to find that health will affect. And very often oranges can be the healthiest, because physically they're the most active, but also they don't have time to be sick. They don't want to be sick. They're more likely to ignore a sickness knocking on their door because they haven't got time for it.
Right, exactly. And of course, there's warning signs and all of those things. But it definitely goes to show that these different personalities can manifest in different ways, depending on whether they're balanced or unbalanced or things like that. And you've kind of talked about some of the orders now. Maybe you can go into a little bit about how the D.I.V.A colors are found, maybe do a little bit more of that, and how you go about helping people tell what color they are.
Well, we are in development right now. I've literally shut down my True Colors program on Choose Positive Living, because we're in development right now of the D.I.V.A discovery. I'm working collaboratively with a group from the D.I.V.A mindset, and we are literally using, psychologists, et cetera, are into this and embracing what the D.I.V.A is. So when you come back and do the test, which I'm hoping you're going to be our beta testing in July here, Jessie, and go through the program and I'm going
to put my name change date in instead of my birth date and see what happens.
So basically, it will be an online program that people will take, and in this online program, we discover what their D.I.V.A is for a series of questions. They will take this online test to discover what their color personality is, even the elements that they should be in. They will then get an understanding of their key colors and how to use their first two colors in their daily lives, so the personal approach to them. And then through the online, they will actually understand what their fractal is and how the fractal works with them. In other words, what colors and people they should have around them. The understanding of this at the end of it is that you do understand what your dreams, inspirations, visions, and what you aspire to. You do have a better understanding of self, not how to communicate with other people, not only how to communicate with other people, but with your inner dialogue. Because when you understand yourself more, you forgive yourself a great deal more as well. In understanding the two personalities that you work with, you find more of that personality, how to use those two. And the reason I say the two, because those two are the ones that we work with mostly. You will still get an understanding of what your other two colors are, the bottom two, and how you need to bring them up and be aware of them. But an understanding is always those other two that you're going to be constantly living in. And then, as I said, how to pick your fractal. And the fractal is so important because that's the people that you align with in life. You don't, for instance, somebody who is a travel agent. We have a travel agent going to go through this process because we have this for professional programs as well for them to use in their business. So the travel agent has somebody call in and they say, I want to go on a holiday, but I want it to be safe. I want to know which hotel I'm going to, what excursions I'm going on, what times, everything to be safe, T's and I's dotted, etc. The last thing you want to do is hand this person over to an orange personality and says, oh, forget about that. That's boring. How about taking this bungee jumping trip? It's so much fun. You're talking now to a person who needs that security and is fearful and wants to reassurance, and you're telling them to just get off and take a leap of fun because, off a cliff because it's fun. That person isn't speaking to this person. You're now able to give this person that you have asked these series of questions to, and you know who to give it to, the right fractal that is going to be able to understand their needs and address them, so therefore serving the client. So when you have all this information yourself, your diva, your colors, the best way to use them, and your fractal, you now know how to go about actually aligning yourself with people that are like-minded in the perspective of what your vision is in life, what your philosophy is in life, even what your dream is, a dream shared. And then you could start building on it together collaboratively, always being complemented by the strengths, because there's never any weaknesses of everybody else and their different perspectives. So it's an online test, but it's so very, very easy. What we do with people that are like the solopreneurs or practitioners, rather like yourself, if you joined us as either a professional or as a member in the Unity, you would have the option afterwards, what we call a backdoor key, have your own code, where you could run your own clientele for this program. And at the end of it, you would get an assessment of your clientele. You would know their diva, you would know their colors, you would know their fractal. So when you're going to help this person, you know all of that, and it helps you better gauge to where they need to go or who they need to speak with or who to align with. But also you have a language that you can both speak to each other because both of you have gone through the same program. So you can color code your conversations, and in that way you know which perspective you're actually speaking to. And when you are talking about the divas or the fractal, you're on the same page, and you know you can use that dialogue in order to whatever else you're building together. So this is how we actually see it working.
This is so incredibly useful, and just like knowing whether somebody's a auditory, a touchy-feely person, or things like that, you're going to relate to different people, and your orange personality is going to be that one you're going to say, but this is a lot of fun, this is going to be exciting, and to your blue personality, it's going to be, this is going to feel really good to you, and this is going to make you happy, and to your yellow personality, it's going to be kind of like everything's going to work out. It's all going to come together. And your green personality is like, it makes sense.
Precisely. And then how much more simpler that is in understanding where that person's coming from now and how to form a dialogue with them.
And that's a big thing of mine. Once you understand where you're at, you can better understand where other people are at, and then you can relate better. Sara, I've got a caller in our queue here that has a question for you, so I'd like to go ahead and bring that person on. Is that okay with you?
Excellent.
Okay. Get this mic open up. And this person's also, we're going to try to open up the mic anyways. Come on.
Is it too early?
My green is having anxieties. Okay, and this is from our chatter, Fire Dragon. Fire Dragon, you're on the air.
Hey, guys.
Hello, Fire Dragon. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Just caught the show, and I'm like, wow, this could be useful in my practice.
And what is your practice?
I am a Reiki master.
Ah, yes. Yes, definitely. Do you have a particular question for me?
Well, while listening to the show, I identified 3 colors, and I wasn't sure, I wanted to get advice. The first color was lime green, second color was sky blue, and the third one was sun yellow.
Are these colors that you think you are or that you've been tested for?
I haven't been tested yet, but these are the colors that are coming to me by a thought pattern.
Okay, so you said the first color was the green, and then blue, and then
yellow.
Was that yellow?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so green, blue, yellow would be somebody that would always think their information first. The knowledge would come to you in a sense of an understanding. By giving it to the blue, you then feel that knowledge in the comprehension. There's knowledge that you know to be factual that will come maybe from the brain. There's mind knowledge, which is what your mind knows, and your mind is so much bigger and more expansion and is able to adapt and adjust and learn more than actually your brain. And you've got your intuitive knowledge, which is coming from your blue. And your blue will always trust divine knowledge. And that will be a lot where you get your Reiki from, is the fact that you can't do Reiki if you're not in divine knowledge. So you seek your knowledge, you receive it from the divine, and your yellow aspect of it will probably be more of your grounder. I can see you probably being somebody using Reiki to ground people, to give people a sense of understanding of who they are, maybe aligning their chakras and their centers to be more grounding. I'm a very air person. I'm a screaming blue, so everything to me is about wind and air and fluidity, and that's how the divine speaks to me. My conflict for me is that grounding. It's always something that's a challenge for me. So you would be very good for me because you would help ground me. So I can see that probably being the gift that you give to people is something that your knowledge comes to you in your spiritual self to bring that groundingness to people and a sense of probably a secure well-being from it.
Well, that's awesome that we're connected because I'm doing my Reiki show tonight at 1:30.
So then trust awesome. Your divine knowledge. Sorry, I didn't catch what you say, Jessie.
Getting some of that sharing in and sharing some of that knowledge and everything too, and bringing that around, and that kind of helps move some of that mental energy. If you actually were agreeing, for example, doing a show gets you into that more social aspect and gets you a little bit out of your head while not taking you too far out of your element, I would say.
To kind of really trust your divine, really trust your divine knowledge. And even though that your green comes first, it is rather like, Jesse, you have the knowledge. It's there. Your knowingness knows how to get it. But trust your blue as being able to receive that knowledge and articulate it rather than articulating it from the green. But as I said, with the yellow, it's always bringing that sense of well-being and grounded and wholeness to people. You didn't mention orange at all. So, for you, it isn't about energizing people. It is more of a sense of grounding and well-being and making a person feel whole and calm. It's a natural ability for you, so trust that. Always trust it. Don't overthink it. Feel your knowledge. You don't need to think it. You can feel it. And you can trust in it because it will bring you to where you need to be.
Yeah, and that's, that is such a huge thing that Sarah's bringing up there as far as trusting that knowledge. Hey, Fire Dragon, I want to thank you for calling in, and I see by the chat that your show is on here on Blog Talk, and it's
yes, it
healing. Is that correct?
Yes,
awesome.
It is.
So hopefully maybe after
for you guys.
I'm sorry.
I posted the link to my show in the chat room for you guys.
Yeah, so that's awesome. And then you're on late enough that people can catch it after this show.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a good compliment.
Exactly.
And I'm going to thank you for calling in, and I'm going to go ahead and put you back on mute here.
Have a fabulous show.
You too.
Yeah, definitely. There we go. I'm getting my buttons to work slowly here. And this really is a good aspect in here, Sarah, because you had mentioned those same things to me of, starting to think more from the heart. And I do think from that space, but you're right. I mean, a lot of times I do start in that intellect space.
Yes.
With things. And again, as I moved it, one of the big things you mentioned to me, because the orange was the furthest out for me, was to implement more fun into my life.
Yes.
And make things more fun, because that would help bring balance. And so when I started doing this series of workshops, I started creating a lot of fun things to implement. And one of the things that I developed up was this personal emergence, where I have one that's a 2-day full weekend event, and I do another one that's a 5-day event. And that's actually getting out in nature. That's going to incorporate some of that of adventure activity and incorporate getting out on some of the hiking trails and things like that. And so I'm definitely looking at that movement and that fun and implementing those things in. And it's a beautiful balance, because here again, when you create that balance, you're going to have more people relating. So if you are doing that solopreneur aspect, or even if you're in a company with people, as you bring this in, you're going to find more and more people are able to relate to you easier. And this test sort of thing that people go through, I don't want people to really think of it as a test, because there's not really any right or wrong answers. And it's important
to definitely not.
Completely honestly on that, because that's where you're going to get your benefit. You're only going to benefit if you answer totally honestly. And it's not just about a birth date. It's really about your likes and your preferences and how you handle different situations. And here again, it's not about right or wrong. It's about understanding.
It's your personality DNA.
Yeah.
And you can't conflict with it. It's your personality DNA. It's who you are, and understanding your makeup and who you are in all of the aspects. This one complements yours with the numerology and the astrology and the charts and everything else. It's the more we know about ourselves, the better we understand what our possibilities are, our options are, and, how to seek our opportunities. Because we now have got a whole bag of knowledge about ourselves. And we don't beat ourselves up for other people's expectations. We embrace ourselves for the wonderful diversity of what we are by understanding that diversity.
Absolutely. And this type of a tool is exactly what can take somebody from surviving to thriving.
Absolutely. Yes.
It can go from trudging through life to absolutely enjoying life. And it is definitely one of the core fundamentals of the work that I do, is getting to know yourself. It's like the concept you got to give to yourself in order to be able to give to others. You've got to know yourself so that you can better relate to others and better understand others. And
when your cup is full, it runneth over, and it benefits. The happier you are with you, the higher your vibration runs, and the more you can resonate that joy of life to everyone else, and helping them to raise their own vibration and own understanding of self is just something that keeps on resonating. You're talking about going out into nature with people. As much as you will teach people from that green aspect, going out to nature, go in the blue. Go into that blue perspective. The orange wants to have the fun, yes, but the blue is where you need to let the spirit be free. When that spirit is out in nature and people turn all of their senses on, everything in their body on, all their sensualities on, they'll start feeling life. right from their fingertips to the hair, the base of their feet, everything. And that's when they'll start receiving that divine knowledge that articulates from the green understanding, that goes to the inspiration of the orange and knowing what to do with it, in right down to the core foundating of the yellow. But go out into nature in the blue aspect and let that divine speak to you in all its wonderful earthly and cosmic gifts. It's a beautiful experience.
Absolutely it is. It's just absolutely humongous. Now, what I want to give people an idea of, Sara, is when they come to you, they say, and I think this is absolutely great, especially for those people who are struggling to figure out what direction to go, struggling to figure out how to use their energy, how to function out there. Whether you're just lost and confused or whether you've been on your path for a long time, this information is very useful. So yes. Let's say somebody says, yeah, I feel like I really want to get this done because this is interesting to me. This is something that could be very, very useful to me, and I know this will help me out. Sara, where do I start? Here I am. What do we do now?
Well, we've got two aspects of the program. The D.I.V.A Discovery for professionals is the one that we're developing right now, which will be used for people in groups. Like for yourself, if you go through this particular professional program, it will be you going through the program, understanding about yourself, then having a tutorial on how to actually use it as an assessment for your own clientele. And then under the pricing package, you would get 3 of your clients to go through it, and you would actually have an understanding of how to use it for them. So the professional package is what's being developed right now. We're going into beta testing with this people like you and a few other groups in July. So hopefully by August, all that will be ironed out, and we will start going into practice with it. September is when we wish to kind of start launching the program. However, on my side, from the Choose Positive Living side, I will be taking the individuals because that's my own particular business. People will still go through this kind of discovery, but it is more one-on-one. And it becomes a little bit more in-depth where things like the numerology and the astrology comes into that. Also, my program that you mentioned, The View of Life. So that is more of a counseling coaching and investigating discovery using the same program, but we go more in depth. That because of the changes that we're going through right now, I've put everything on hold there right now until the D.I.V.A Discovery is done. So I'll probably start taking individuals in August. So it could be individuals, it could be families. I also work with couples. But that will be done for the Choose Positive Living, and the professional package will actually go for the Unity Foundation, my NPO, and that is being supported through that. So people will simply get hold of me and let me know which one they want to do. I can put them on the waiting list right now, and then as soon as that gets going, I can get in contact with them, and we can get the ball going. But it's all done from online. Everything is done through Skype. Or even through phone call if you don't have the Skype. The assessment comes back to me, and everything can be done that way. So people don't actually have to be with me in order to get it done.
And so just to kind of bring that back around and to sum up for everybody, what they're doing is they're coming to you, they're going to take the discovery test, yes. And then that's give you information, they're going to have that information as well, and then you're going to schedule like a session with them or time with them where you'll discuss everything and go through everything.
Yes, we go into discovery. Yeah.
And
so
and
whether
then,
I'm doing it for,
oh yeah, and then from there that helps them know where to go, what to do, where they're at, kind of thing.
Yes. So on the personal side, there'll be options on how deep you go or which program that you want to sign up for. And on the professional side, everybody goes through that program. People who are using businesses use it, and they could be coming on just as a professional to use it in their business. But then we have what we call the professional membership, and that's for people that are going to join us on the Unity Foundation. The people under the Unity Foundation get a lot of perks, and one of the things they get is that we will send clients to them from the foundation to our own members. We're serving in-house first. The other thing about the foundation, nobody comes on unless I have personally assessed them. They have to be the right people. There have to be people willing to give back in life, people that are there to help humanity. If they're not there for the good of the whole and wanting to unify people back into their dignity and liberty, they will not be a fit for the Unity Foundation. So we have a choice that you could be a professional and just use it for your business, or you can come on as a professional member where we will bring people to you, which the foundation pays for if the people come through the foundation, and hires you as a service to help their people. What we do have, though, is what we call a 10% program. So we pay you, but 10% comes back into the foundation, always generating more money for other people so they can go through the various programs themselves. In other words, to keep the cycle going.
Which is incredible and wonderful, and I think that this is an amazing thing for people, because there are a lot of people out there today that are struggling with things, and they really need this help, and they really need this understanding. So I'm so glad to see this implemented into your program, because I've recently started to create some things myself to make it very cost effective for people, for example, on limited incomes and things, to take advantage of some incredible work. So this is a great program. I want to reinforce that Sara's website is www.choosepositiveliving.com, and that is the best way to reach you, Sara?
Actually, at the present moment, that's to reach me for the personal program, or if you want to read any of my articles, that's more my personal site. The site that I'm promoting at the present moment will be the radio site, and that is www.plv-radio.com, plv-radio.com. Up there, it tells you all about the Unity Foundation. It also tells you about the people that are coming on. Everybody that comes into this is interviewed on the radio. Nobody will be coming into the foundation that hasn't been through the program or been interviewed on the program, go through the D.I.V.A program, but or hasn't been interviewed on the radio. So you can get a taste through the archives and through the people that I've got coming up and that are coming on, the caliber of people that I'm bringing into the Unity Foundation, and their incredible inspirational solutions that they have for us as a human race to make our own lives better. So right now the best would be to go through the plv-radio.com, and they can contact me at info@plv-radio.com. So it's info@plv-radio.com. And they can get hold of me that way.
That's PLV as in positive living, by the way.
Vibrations, yes.
Vibration.
It's positive living vibrations shortened as a net. So PLV-radio is the network, and my own personal shows are positive living vibrations. We will be having people have their own shows up there. There's also going to be promotions where people can come along and just do shows now and again and have them run over and over again. And we will also have infomercials. We call them spotlights, where people will have commercial informations. And at the weekends, we will have music, arts, authors, and story time reading. So it's all about entertainment at the weekends. And in the weekdays, it's all about self-liberation. And as I said, on June 18th, your show will be on. All they have to do is go to the plv-radio.com to show times and scroll down. They'll see your name under the date there, and they click on that. They have your bio. At the bottom of the page is the radio. The radio is going all the time. If it's not got music, it's got shows going on. And your show will be aired at 8, 11, 1, 3, 6, and 9 Pacific time. So 8, it will 11, air 5 times in that day.
Okay,
8, 11, 1, 3, 6, and 9, 5 times in the day. It's the Pacific time. So we hit everybody at no matter what time frame they are.
Perfect. So a lot of different time frames to catch that show as well. I certainly hope that you will tune in and see as the tables are turned as Sara interviews me. And it's really a good show, actually. We had a lot of fun doing that show. I have to thank her for making that a lot of fun for me.
What's life without some fun, huh? Fun is what it's all about.
Exactly. Well, I want to, we're kind of winding down here on our show, and I just want to let our listeners know we've been talking with Sara Troy tonight. She's been sharing with us her work in understanding your diva self through her True Colors program. You can learn more about her work through her website, ChoosePositiveLiving.com, which she says, is more of her personal aspect. The best place she's saying to go is the PLV-radio.com. And we really appreciate you being here tonight, Sara. I really appreciate you coming on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour.
It's been fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed it. Thank you. Always enjoyed talking to you, Jessie.
Likewise. And I'm looking forward to seeing all the rest of the things, and I know you'll keep me posted on it.
Oh, yes, most certainly, my dear, and I look forward to you going through this assessment. You're the type of person that I want into this fund action. You care, you've got the knowledge, and you're doing it for the right reasons. And so you are part of that equation in building a whole person. When we invest in people, we invest in possibilities, and all sorts of innovations comes out of that. But it first starts with the people. And in making them whole, we are making them become people that are the answer to our future. So let's make them whole.
Perfect. And so I just want to mention I've got a few things here to go through here at the end of the show. And I do want to mention that next week on our show I have Paul Tukey coming on. And, with the warmer days and the warmer weather coming up, it's a time for being outside. It's a time for enjoying nature. It's a time for getting on the land. So I've got two shows back to back, which is about the outdoors and what's in our environment out there and in our backyard, our own backyard, as the case will be next week. Paul Tukey we're going to be looking at his work in green landscaping and taking care of your lawn and landscaping needs in conscious ways. So not just green, but actually organic. And Paul is the winner of the prestigious Horticultural Communicator of the Year award. He's noted for making dull subjects interesting. And if Paul's name sounds familiar to you, it may be, because he had his own show on HGTV for several years. So I'm very much looking forward to having him on the show. It's going to be exciting. He's got a lot of great information to share with us. As I said, my next set of books, which are based on relationships, will be coming up available quite soon. I'm just down to those final touches on it, and I'm going to have it out very shortly for you. And that's a look at how to find and develop a relationship with somebody that will last a lifetime with you. It's a look at how we all take on masculine and feminine energy roles, no matter what sex we are born into. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, I have about 20 events coming up over the next 2.5 months for you to take advantage of. They are going to be in the southern Utah area, and they are spanning everything, every topic out there. So definitely you want to jump on my Eventbrite page, which is JessieAnnNicholsGeorge.eventbrite.com, and you're going to find things on there from developing intuition and divination, sign symbols and soul processes, clearing your path, decision-making, creating a relationship that lasts, creating passion in your relationships, reconnecting with you, bringing out your vibrancy, personal emergence, inner peace, living compassion, how to handle other people. There's things in there for practitioners, and also things in there for creating wealth and prosperity. So, and businesses and building those up. So there's a lot of different things coming up, which are going to be incredible and amazing. And go in there, check them out, and find which one you want to participate in, because they're just information packed full of workshops there for you. So check those out. Also, don't forget that if you'd like to find out more about the work I'm doing with Compassion, you can connect with me. You can check out my blog, purchase products or services that I offer. You can listen to archived shows, check out the upcoming shows, watch video tips. All of these things you can do through my website, which is Jessie Ann Nichols George 1. That's the number 1.com. That's also at the bottom of our show description today. And again, there's a great section on there for Main Street Universe, where you can follow all of our hosts, catch our upcoming shows, as well as all of our archived shows, and learn a little bit about the different people that are part of Main Street Universe here. And this information is, again, they're on my website, so just go in and check that out. My books are available through Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com, as well as Smashwords. Those are all options there. And the June special that I have going on right now, that if you go into the homepage on my website, you'll see it there. But I'm offering 10-minute and 20-minute coaching sessions at very affordable rates. 10-minute sessions for $15, 20-minute sessions for $30. So it's a great opportunity to take advantage, whether you just need some quick insights on something, or whether you just have an issue that you're dealing with that you want to work through. So that's going to be a great opportunity for you with that. And don't forget, we've got several shows here on Main Street Universe throughout the week. Sunday nights we have Darren Bouquet, who's a reader at Madame Laveau in New Orleans. He does a show that does some insights and some readings on it. Monday nights, Kevin Baird, Walking on the Sidewalk, and he's got his Horizon Oracle Journeys deck, which he created all on his own. You can check out more about that deck on his website at templeofgaia.com. Tuesdays we have Inner Wisdom with Mary Phelan, and she brings in also some great insights as well as does some readings. She draws on a lot of different resources when she's doing things. Wednesday nights we have our flagship show. That's Daniel and Janice, and Brett is on there again too. We welcome them all back. I know Janice has taken a little bit of time off. She had her mother pass, and so certainly all of our hearts and our condolences are with her and supporting her at this time. So those are all the shows there. Of course, right here, Activating Compassion in the midnight hour. Every Friday night, midnight Eastern time is when it starts. We've got different guests on every week. And also, if you've got the opportunity, stay on top of the Matriarch Gathering, because I am going to be speaking there. I'm going to be speaking on my work on compassion. It's going to be an amazing weekend. It's 2 days, and I just got word tonight that they have accepted me as a speaker for their weekend, and I'm excited, and hopefully there will be some of you out there that will decide that you want to come and join us. And last I know, that is going to be the first weekend in October, and that's in the Colorado area, by the way. And also look for additional venues to come up and become available with the Compassion Tour. So I will be setting some more things up in the fall and posting those as well on the Eventbrite site. So lots and lots and lots of stuff happening. And one more thing that I need to mention that I'm just posting, and it will be available within the next 24 hours, is I have started a membership club, and it is called Jessie's Quantum Club, and it deals with being able to receive quantum energy work. You can check out more about that on Eventbrite as well. So if you go in there, you'll see the option for Jessie's Quantum Club, and that's got some different options there that make it very affordable for getting that work done. And this is actually my high-end work that is very, very normally a much higher price, very intensive work, and I've created an option that's very, very affordable that even people on fixed incomes should be able to afford this option. So if you go in there, you can read all about it, see what that work is all about, and see that it's something you'll take advantage of. And people that take out that membership are also going to have the option to sign up for workshops and things at a discounted rate, so it's definitely worth the look. This is Jessie Ann Nichols George. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I look forward to seeing you back here next week as we delve more into activating compassion. Don't forget that if you've enjoyed my show this evening, to share it with others. It will be available at the same link in our archives. And I'm going to leave you with the song tonight, Yearning For, also known as Over and Over by Shemshai. Thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you again next week right here on Activating Compassion in the Midnight Hour. May you enjoy the rest of your weekend and have an amazing week.
If I could see what makes me blind, I would soar to the edge of my mind and to touch what seems unreal, just to show you the way that I feel. And we are in time with time, one with the season of change inside. And we are in tune with the tune, caught in a balance of sun and moon. Oh, deep inside, the light within, shining to show you it's here to begin. When all I have is all I need, I will soar to the edge of eternity. And we see in eye to eye, one within love to be for the divine. And we're walking hand in hand, caught in a balance of God and man. Over and over, life is your lover, learning to walk just a little bit slower, whispering secrets that you can't keep it. No turning back now, this time we reveal it. One to another, all will discover the essence within the most beautiful lover. Time is still turning, the love is still burning. Deep in your spirit, your heart is still yearning for. Yearning for. My mind, when all we have is all we need, all that we ask for shall be received. And we see in eye to eye, one within love to be for the divine. And we're walking hand in hand, caught in the balance of God and man. And we are in time with time, one with the season of change inside. And we are in tune with the tune of life in the circle and love in bloom. Over and over, life is your lover, learning to walk just a little bit slower, whispering secrets that you can't keep it. No turning back now, this time we reveal it. One to another, all will discover the essence within the most beautiful lover. Time is still turning, the love is still burning. Deep in your spirit, your heart is still young.